At first I misread you, delayed by your eye. Oh, yes, I've spoken, intentions implied. Before the night is over, two souls are entwined to paint us a picture of greater design. Found the zone that breaks the greatest souls. I'm beaten down and low, bound to show your scars aren't fading. I've been waiting far too It's not how it's supposed to be. The space between the stars is not for me. It's far too dark out here for us to see. The waves we seem to ride are out of reach.
What do you want to talk about this time, Chips?
By design,
Anything in particular?
time's not waiting, complicated.
Tell them what we're doing. We'll do it. Let's record.
Welcome to the Folk Hogan Podcast, where we talk endlessly about this thing we've been doing endlessly. We got all sorts of stories about songs and things we've done and upcoming stuff, and yeah. Chips, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Thanks for
Really
being
good.
here. We got a show this weekend, the 28th of February,
Oh.
at Bar Named Sue Highland.
Oh.
So any of y'all folks listening there,
That's the furthest
come
east of the Bar Named Sue.
yeah, it is. Come over and give us a little high five when you get there.
It's underneath El Chihuahua.
Yeah, I've never been there. I've heard it's really good.
It's
I've heard a lot
great.
of people say it's good.
It's great.
I've never been there.
I'm biased, and I still say it's great.
Yeah. Do love Bar Named Sue though. Good group there. How's Chips today?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I just saw this picture of somebody. It was like, don't have a mic stand, no problem, and they had wrapped a loop through the handle of an amplifier and put the loop around the head of the microphone to hold it there up against the speaker. And it reminded me of the time that I sent Scott a picture of what I was doing for a punk rock flea market gig once when I ran out of mic stands. I had a cable reel, not a cable reel, but the reels that you put your garden, what are they called? Extension cable in.
Oh, okay.
Like those
Yeah, yeah,
orange, the classic orange one.
Yeah.
You wrap up the extension cable in. I had an extension cable or microphone cables or whatever in one of those.
Yeah.
Because I think at the time I used to keep all my microphone cables in one of those. And when you get to the end of one, you just plug in the next microphone cable. And it's a really good way to store microphone cables cheaply and
Yeah.
efficiently. And I had a bunch of bands show up, and I just didn't have like all of the stuff that I needed. Short a few items, and so I bungeed the microphone to that reel and put it up against the kick drum to hold it there.
Hey, if it works, it's not stupid,
Yeah.
as the saying goes.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people recently that use camera mounts or different similar hardware, because like camera mounts are all about like they'll have like a ball with like a clamp
Yeah.
and then a stick and then ball clamp stick, whatever. And every point is like very adjustable. So I've seen quite a few of those recently where they make like a floating mic stand by clipping one end of the bass drum and then have that no stand, no problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I texted that photo to Scott, he sent it to all of his audio buddies. It's just a hilarious thing in that group. You know,
You got to make do. That's just how it works.
That's what country girl do.
I feel like we've had to do some pretty ridiculous things over the years to make things work.
I had somebody show up to a gig at the garage this past weekend, and they're like, "Where's my guitar strap?" And then I instantly thought of you.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell this one? You want to
Go ahead. I want to hear your recollection of it.
We showed up to a gig once, and Moses was looking through his case. He's like, "Where's my guitar strap?" And he's like, "Oh," realizing that he had always leaves the guitar strap in the guitar case. You could call it a
I
mandolin.
was going to say.
You could call it a tiny guitar. Just don't call it a ukulele.
Please.
He always leaves the guitar strap, or in this case, a guitar strap being used for a mandolin.
Indeed.
You could just call it a mandolin strap.
That's too
I don't
much.
fucking know. So anyways, verbiage disagreements aside, he had taken it to restring it or work on it or something, and it had gotten left out on the bench. Like, this is in the way. Let me take it off real quick and set it down. And then we got all the way to a show in a different city, in a different time zone. Who knows? No guitar strap. So Moses was like, "Oh crap, what am I going to do?" And it's, just because it's the size of a ukulele doesn't mean that you can just sit there and hold it. It's a flying V mandolin.
Yeah.
So he's looking around, and I'm starting to think like, okay, what kind of belt does everybody have on, and what can we take apart? And Moses sees Cameron's pedal board that's got a little luggage strap on it, and was able to take that off and somehow perfectly fit the fixtures, like the D rings on the end of this, or the clips or some part of it.
It was a little sketchy. It was a little sketchy.
And it was enough to get by, but I don't know, little gaff tape,
Yeah.
a little.
That's something you used to always see
Ingenuity.
punk bands do, is just like gaff tape their strap onto the guitar. Put the strap on the buttons, but then gaff tape it down.
Yeah.
So like
This J Tercer that I have here, this Telecaster clone that I have here has concrete screws in it.
Yeah.
Because as a teenager, I didn't know how to fix things. So I just kept putting bigger and bigger and bigger screws until I got to that size. And so it's got two sets of threads,
Yeah.
like a small and a big. And, what you can do is you could just put, when you eventually ream the screw hole out, you can just shove a dowel and some glue in there. And then once it dries, then you can put the screw back in. Or, people have used toothpicks, popsicle sticks, skewers, whatever you got around, some sort of wood product and wood glue. Well, I never bought strap locks because they were like $25. And that was like way too much money to spend on that. And so I would always get just like a belt from the thrift store, cut the strap to the size that I wanted, and then put like rubber grommets or something to hold it there.
Yeah.
So
And
none
it
of my
worked.
straps were adjustable.
So the interesting thing about that is recently Cameron and I did a whole bunch of work on that guitar and routed out this big section in the middle to relieve the weight of it. It was already super light, but we made it even lighter. And while doing that, using the router to take out huge chunks of the wood, I found that the wood in that guitar is so soft that it provided almost no resistance for the router bit. And I immediately thought, that's why you have to use concrete screws, is because the wood is so soft that no matter what, it just kept tearing out, and you just had to keep going to a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger screw. So
Yeah.
it's funny. I went to dowel it and dowel those strap pinholes, and I was like, I mean, the concrete screw has been working for him for a decade plus, so we'll just put those back in. It's fine. So
Yeah, I remember the day in the summer when I had to go get those screws. For some reason, the band that I was in was rehearsing in an elementary school during the summer in one of the trailers.
Oh yeah.
With no air conditioning, because they don't run the air conditioning hardly ever in public schools, in these like trailers, unless they absolutely have to, and they definitely don't run them when school's not in session.
Yeah.
And so it was desperately hot, and I went right down the street in Linden, Utah, to a construction supply to buy that
Yeah.
screw.
It, like I said, it's worked for quite some time. So, and if you is that video still up of you throwing the guitar over your shoulder at Aces?
I don't know. I think I just put it on the
Classic.
story, so
It was
probably
classic.
probably not. But
Nick threw his guitar over his shoulder, and the strap caught it and like swung it back around into his hands, and I didn't even see it happen.
No one
at the
in the
show.
band saw
No
it.
one in the band saw it because we were all focused
I don't think
on
anyone in the
whatever we were
crowd
doing.
saw it. I'm not sure if it happened. I think it's AI.
But then when Nick showed us at the end of the night, I spent like 30 minutes practicing throwing my mandolin over my shoulder because I was like, this is the smallest instrument in the band. I should have been doing this for years. And I got pretty good at it. But I have found that I've just been slowly pulling the screw out. So I need to go dowel mine. So yeah. Well, lengthy intro. Thanks for hanging out through that. If you're still listening.
Yeah. We still have tickets, allegedly.
Allegedly. There's still a few tickets left. When we in the first week we sold almost 20% of the tickets. So
Yikes.
yeah. So it will sell out. So if you haven't got your tickets,
Yeah. If
your
you're
best.
going to be the person that waits till the last minute, you're going to be sad.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people saying like, that's a
It's
long
Utah.
ways out for me to buy a ticket, so
Yeah.
I'm just not
It's
gonna.
Utah.
And I'll buy one when it's closer. And it's like, well,
If they're available.
yeah, you gotta do what you can.
Yeah. I've just been telling everybody, like, this isn't like the other 99% of shows in Utah.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a walk-up door crowd.
Yeah. This is a buy
We're
a
doing
ticket
this
crowd.
differently.
Yeah.
Because
So,
we
got people flying in. Rob and Heather
we want
flying
it to
in.
be the biggest thing ever that we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, always.
And so, we're pulling out all the stops.
Yeah.
Many people are flying in.
Yeah. It's gonna be a good
so
time.
you could, if you're local, take advantage of the fact that you're local.
Get your tickets. Also, you can pre-order the album on the website. When you pre-order, you get a deal. As long as you buy it in February, you get a discount. You'll
we
get,
got
you'll
it
get
on
3
sale
singles
all the
early.
way to the April.
Okay. Yeah. The 25 is till April.
So you can buy it in February or you can buy it in March.
And then April 1st, it'll no longer be on sale for the pre-sale price. And on top of that, if you buy the pre-sale before then you get the whole album on April 1st.
You can buy it
That's not
in
a
vinyl
April Fool's joke.
February.
Yeah.
It can be your February gift for your significant other
Yeah.
or yourself.
If you already missed Valentine's Day, just get her this.
Or
Get
you
him
can
this. They'll be
you can
happy.
buy it for Varch.
Or Vaporil.
Vapril's
Vaporils
It will
for
still be
vape
available.
stores. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if I'm confident that the record the release show is going to sell out, but wouldn't it be awkward if the record sold out before that day, and then everybody just came to the show and we're like,
sorry, Mr.
they
Chance.
like come to the booth, they're like, that was great, I'll
Yeah.
take one. Oh, and we're just
No, you
like,
won't.
here's a sticker.
Here's a high five. Yeah. Get yourself a shirt.
It's very unlikely. Because physical media, it just ain't what it used to be.
It's true.
It's a big, important thing for artists.
Yeah. You got to have it.
To sell something tangible. Because, we don't want to go the way of the dinosaur or the dodo.
Yeah. I mean, merch is such a tricky, interesting thing. And if you're a band and you're not selling merch, then you got to change everything because you got to it gets your name out there. It lets people support you. That's really the big thing is like a lot of times people just want to support the bands. There's been tons of times that I've gone out and seen bands that I didn't particularly care for, but I'm like, they're on tour. I know what that's like. I'm gonna buy a bunch of stuff at their merch booth.
Yeah.
Because I know what it's like to be on tour. So that's the big thing. It's like even just to be able to be supported, it's a good idea to make merch. But
Do you remember years ago when everybody was selling those NFTs?
yes, I do.
You could get an ape NFT
Yeah,
for thousands of dollars.
yeah. You can't
So
wear
I'm
that.
glad we still have records.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you can't wear your NFT unless you
Not with-
printed it on something.
Not without some extra steps involved.
Yeah. So we're going to talk today about Behold, the song.
Oh,
But before we do that, I'd love to talk about Behold, the album. There's a couple songs on this album we haven't talked about yet, and we are going to circle back. Jared, our old bass player, who sings a song on this album, is going to come and do an episode of the podcast in April. And he's going to talk about all the songs that he sang in the band. So we're going to skip a bunch of those. And we got some other ones we still need to talk about on Behold. But let's talk for a little bit about the recording of Behold and about all those songs and putting that whole thing together. Some of those songs were pretty old. When we recorded the show, we talked about this on an episode a while back. We recorded the show and we also recorded Bourbon Blues and Whiskey for Breakfast. And unfortunately, those two songs got lost in Brad's situationship that he was in.
relationship.
Yeah, he lost his hard drive. So we'll never hear those again. So we had to re-record them for Behold. Lady Justice also is another song that was fairly old. In fact, we played Lady Justice at the show release show. We did all of the show, and then we played a few other songs, and Lady Justice was one of those songs. So some of those songs were pretty old by the time we even put them on an album. No Means Jeff and Band of Mighty Souls Part 2, which you're hearing now. Those were a couple years old at that point. We are going to have Cameron in here to talk about Eggs, which is a song. It's the only song for Folk Hogan that Cameron has written. So I'm excited. I'll be excited to bring him in and talk to him about that. And he can explain the name to everyone. But yeah, that album was, several years in the making. When we recorded it at Steve Phillips' studio.
Full Fidelity,
which was a blast. Steve was great to work with. I think he did a really good job. I had damaged my voice not long before we recorded that album. And so that album's really hard for me to listen to.
Yeah.
Because I can hear all of the little issues I was having. So it just drives me insane. So I don't really listen to it, but in general, I like it. I like all the songs on it. I feel like it has an interesting feel. And especially when you think about it, like in the context of like what songs sounded like on Band of Mighty Souls, and then how that changed for the show, and then how that changed for Behold. I think there's a pretty easily noticeable natural progression between all of those. And I think that the new album, A Full Moon to Guide You, kind of fits into that step. Yeah, we recorded it at Full Fidelity. I feel like it took us maybe a month or so, but it wasn't like every other time we've recorded an album. We've basically rented a studio out for a week and just gone in all day, 7 days a week, and recorded everything. Whereas with Behold, we went in and we did tracking, what we call scratch tracks. So like we go in, everyone plays through the song together, and then everyone individually records their parts to the album, to the scratch tracks. And so we went in and did scratch tracks, and then everyone kind of just went in when they had time to go in and do their individual tracks, which took a month or two, I think, something like that. And then, vocals took a little bit longer than that, mostly because of me. But in general, I'm pretty happy with what we got out of it, outside of my voice hurting. There's a specific line in, I know I've talked about this a couple times, there's a specific line in No Means Jeff that every time I hear it, I remember what that line felt like when I sang it on that take, and it was not good.
Yeah.
So that was a rough go. I feel bad for everyone that had to sit there and listen to me.
Why does this Lady Justice have so many plays?
Why,
That's a shitload of
if you've ever
plays.
watched Detroiters, there's a great scene where Tim Robinson is trying to sing, and it's not going well, and that's how that entire recording session felt to me. It's just doing my best, but Steve did a good job. He made it sound not as bad as it did, that's for sure. He made it sound pretty good. So thanks to him. Big ups to Steve Phillips. Behold the song. The first two albums had a song where Canyon played accordion and sang pretty much completely by himself. And when we were getting ready to go into the studio for this album, we hadn't named the album yet. We were talking about calling it Band of Mighty Souls Part 2. And and I was like, hey, I have this song. In the past, Kenyon has had a solo song. He didn't have one for this album. So I was like, hey, I've got a song I'll throw into this. And this was the song that came out of it, was Behold. Fun little tidbit about this song. When we sat down to work on The Fall years and years and years ago, which was unsuccessful, and we decided to scratch it and move on to something else. I took those chords and messed with them and continued to play around with them, and that's how I ended up writing Behold. So Behold essentially came from The Fall being a song that we didn't do, which we did later do. But, there's a number of like musical aspects to it that I think are really neat. For example, I believe there's a C sharp, I think is what it is, that I play in the course of like 5 chord changes. I play it as a major, a minor, and a 7th, which I really enjoy the fact that that's in the song, this like hopping around on that chord while moving to other things. It was weird. I felt really weird about doing it because it was just me and the mandolin. Like it felt very, I know Canyon had done it on the 2 previous albums, but I felt very weird it felt very exposing. It felt very vulnerable for me to just like do this song, especially given the state my voice was in. So, I was definitely nervous about it, and I played it for the band, and everyone was like, yeah, let's throw it on the album. And then, after we had been in the studio working on it, it was actually Canyon that suggested like, hey, we should call the album Behold. And everyone was like, yeah, fine with that. And I was like, I don't know if I'm okay with that. I feel weird about the song that is just me being the title track of the album. But Canyon essentially talked me into it by being like, no, I think it would be cool to have the album say Behold Folk Hogan.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's clever. So that's how that even became the name of the album. Cause I think it probably would have been Band of Mighty Souls Part 2 if it wasn't that. Maybe, who knows? Lyrically, Behold is a very, sort of flowery lyrically song. It's much more poetic than a lot of things I typically have written for Folk Hogan. But the song is about, thinking back on someone that you had been in a relationship with a long time ago, and wondering, what if things had worked out? What if we had made things work? Would we be in a better position now? And I thought it was a fun and interesting thing to work on and try to make sound pretty. So there's a lot of like sort of my brain's not working. I can't think of the word. But there's a lot of sort of allusion to, metaphors and whatnot. Though an ocean's divided our love, it has not been forgotten. I would launch 1,000 ships to bear witness to your face. The wolves will devour, this stranger who has taken my place, and I would find the words to dine on. So that's just like, obviously, we're not together. I've not forgotten you. I wish I could just see your face again. And the wolves will devour the stranger who's taken my place. Like, I'm a different person than I was at that time when we shared a relationship, and I would find the words to dine on. And I'd be able to eat the words that I've said in the past. And the chorus, oh, to behold, if I may be so bold, I would be holding you. Wordplay. It's a good song, I guess. I like it. Little bird in the tree, you've been singing to me until winter. Then how quickly you flee with the turning of the leaves. The days, they grow dark as the shadows that fill in my sight. And with dawn, you let in the light. Yeah, it's just sweet. It's a love song. It's weird because it's a love song, but it's also a retrospective love song of looking back on a previous relationship and going, hey, what if, maybe the difficult time in my life now, maybe I wouldn't be going through that had we been able to work things out. Just something to think on, and not in a sad way, but in just it's neat that we had that experience together and got to do things. And I've been very surprised when we play that song live, which is not very often, but once in a while, I'll pull it out, we'll play it, or I'll play it. I've been surprised to see people sing along with it. I never expected that to be a song that I would see people sing along with. I think most of the time it's usually the band, but I like that song.
It's a good song.
I think musically and lyrically, it's interesting. There's a lot going on with it. I remember at the time Jared saying that the voice leading was really good, and Jared's an actual good musician, not like the rest of us. He has a lot of music theory knowledge and exceptionally talented. And so getting that compliment that the voice leading in the song was really great, that felt nice to me, even though I didn't really know what he was actually saying. But yeah, once in a while we'll pull it out and play it. I don't know. It's interesting having had these songs on albums where it's basically just one of us with an instrument. This upcoming album has a song that is just acoustic guitar, banjo, and vocals. And there's another song that's acoustic guitar, vocals, banjo, and mandolin. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel weird about it, but also, having a little bit of diversity on an album is really nice. And, drummers.
Well, it was fun for us because the first time I heard that, it was like I was getting to hear the album from a listener perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, when we did the album release show, so it was about a year after I had first damaged my voice, and I was super nervous about doing the release show because when you look at the track listing, No Means Jeff is second, Lady Justice is fourth. I think we actually started the show with Lady Justice, though. And then Bourbon Blues and Take Me to Your Leader, all songs that were challenging for me at the time. And then Behold was the last song we were playing. And it was I have to, after all the struggles of the previous year, it was I have to make it through all of these difficult songs. And then I have to do this soft love song at the end. And I was so nervous. I was terrified. And it felt real weird to get through all the songs except that one, and then the rest of the band just walked off stage. And so that vulnerability was turned up to full 100, because it was like, well, now, you know, it's one thing to like be concerned about whether your voice is going to hold up, but it was another thing entirely, you know, when your voice has problems on stage, you know, if a full band is playing, you can kind of get away with a little bit of it, but when it was just me and, you know, 500 people that had bought a ticket to the show, it was like, oh wow, this is terrifying. And Jessica, what's Jessica's last name? Is it Robertson? Wonderful person. We've gone on a podcast that she was on a couple times. She took a photo from the side of the stage that is like a photo of me, but in the wings backstage, you can see the entire band just standing there watching me. And I love that photo because it's what it felt like. Like I was alone on stage, but also I felt the support of everyone. And Canyon, before we went off stage, or before everyone else went off stage, Canyon was like, "You got this. Like, you're gonna be okay." I was like, "Oh, I'm scared." And then, did the song, made it through the song. It went well. And I just remember finishing the song. Everyone else was coming back on stage. And I just remember like having to like choke down tears because I was like, I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I made it through the album.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. The only other time that feeling has really gotten me was this last tour to Europe. You know, when Canyon and Jared were in the band, I had a lot of other vocalists to rely on so that like, you know, we could just do a couple of Canyon songs here and there. We could do some of Jared's songs here and there. So it took the workload off of me. And when we booked this last European tour in 2024, I was super nervous because it was like, I no longer have that safety net. You know, Nick sings 2 songs, Scott sings 3 songs. Like, I'm going to have to do 3 30-minute sets every night for 3 weeks with a couple days off. And I was pretty terrified of making it through all of that. And not just vocally, but also like it was kind of a prove it moment. You know, Canyon having left the band after being such a big part of it for so long, he was very much like, we all wanted to continue, but can we? And I felt like it was a good test for us to go over and do that. And we finished our last show at Local 42 in Helmond, Netherlands, and finished the last song. And I took my mandolin off and I set it down at the drum kit and I gave Sebastian a high five and I was like, we did it. And Sebastian was like, yeah, dude, you did it. And then I started sobbing like a baby, like crying my guts out. And I ended up having to like grab a beer, go outside and like lean on a post and drink a beer and just cry. Happy tears, but just like, whoa, that was brutal. Those are the only times I've felt like that specific emotion of just like, oh, I can't believe.
Yeah, I can't believe we made it.
Can't believe we made it. Yeah. So, that whole album, Behold, is really sweet. Every one of these albums has a special place in my heart. And Behold is such a interesting album to me because of things that came along with it. Like, you know, 2 of the songs this is a weird thing to even say. We don't own 2 of the songs on that album that we wrote. Like we sold 2 of the songs to Warner Brothers, which was awesome. And like, it felt really cool to do and helped us out a bunch. But like, it's weird to not own something I wrote. We still get royalties if it gets used for something, but like, we don't technically own those songs. And like, you know, all the things that were going on during the period of writing those songs and working on them and playing a million shows, you know, I don't know if people really understand, like, it is so not normal, the number of shows that we play even now. You know, a couple shows a month for a typical local band, that's unheard of. And while there's plenty of local musicians that are real deal and may even play more than a gig a day for a whole year, people like Tom Bennett, you know, Michelle Moonshine, people like that are just constantly out there playing shows. But for a typical band, that's just like not a thing that happens. We play way less shows now than we did, you know, 2016, 2017. It was not uncommon for us to have, you know, 4 or 5 shows a month, every month. It wasn't uncommon for us to have 2 shows a weekend. It was such a heavy workload, and doing that as a band is hard. But you get a lot of memories, you get a lot of reps, and you get to hang out with your friends a lot. So like, for as difficult as it was so incredibly enjoyable. I'm so thankful that I was lucky enough to have all that experience. But
That's fun.
yeah, it's not a normal thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to play us out on one of the new songs.
Play us out. What does that mean? That's a little
I don't know.
internet meme for all you
I don't know.
memers out
I
there.
don't know what it means. I don't know what it means. I don't know.
Thanks for listening. If you haven't got tickets for the album release show or bought a pre-sale for the new album,
Do it.
check it out.
Do it.
And we just want to see
I just want to see everybody there.
Yeah, we just want to see
I don't
people
want
at the
anybody
show.
to miss it.
Yeah, we're very excited. We got all sorts of fun stuff.
See the
So.
world for the first time. Warmth and the
We love you.
safety you knew. Stripped from you as you grasp for what could be a last. And I remember feeling the way you do. Though I never.
What does that mean? Sting's gonna play us out. Fucking thing sucks. Yeah, I haven't watched that in so long.
That feeling that's bringing you down is only the first link in a chain that goes around your wrist and neck and keeps you here for what sometimes will feel like a million years. Each day your strength will swell like Sisyphus pushing this weight through hell. Shake off your shackles and find that sometimes this binding is just in your mind. Though I would trade with you, it's not the right thing to do. Darkness will find you, and light will blind you. You'll do all you can, but by then be standing where I am.